Assalamu alaikum. How are you, everybody? Welcome to another episode from Podcast in English and Red Pill Arabic. And we're having very esteemed guest today, Mr. Paul from Come On Man podcast. Welcome, Paul.
Hey, thanks for having me, Kareem. I appreciate it.
I believe this is the first time for you to collaborate with the Middle Eastern content creator, huh?
It is. Yeah, this is a new experience for me. But I'm really excited about it. I didn't realize how big of a channel you had and how big of a red pill following there was in the Middle East. So that's great. That's really great.
We started around like 6 years ago, 5 years ago, 6 years ago. We started by me and like a couple of other guys, like less than 5 guys. And it started like we are speaking Chinese to people. Hypergamy, the sexual strategy, the innate desire, the genuine burning desire. People, what the fuck are you talking about? But now we have tens of thousands of people, and literally, let's say, I can say we might pass 1 million, like as red pill sphere or manosphere in the Arabic world. I got my website. I've been visited from 80 plus country around the world, like Arabic people, of course, but like living all over the world, reading my articles, following my content, because I do content creation in both languages, which is Arabic and English. So I have a following from both speaking people, like English speaking guys and Arabic speaking guys. So and we are growing, but we work our ass off, in the last 5 years to reach this position.
Yeah. You have to have, because I mean, you have over what 30,000 subscribers on YouTube. That's no easy feat. It's not easy to build a following on YouTube. I don't know if people out
Especially
there realize
if you don't have boobs and ass, like it is difficult.
Yeah, there's I don't know if you follow any of the female creators in the space. There's a female.
Yeah, I know Pearl, and the other what is her name?
Ali. There's a lot of them actually, and I've had a couple on my show, and one of them I actually like her. Her name is Sarah Dawn Moore, and her content is fascinating, but I know what she's doing. Like there's videos where she's using her sexuality to get the simps all riled up in the comments. Yeah. And her followers are, man, they put her on a pedestal, but her following is impressive. She went, I was just watching what she was doing on Instagram, and she went from like 0 to 75,000 followers in 3 weeks, just because she's an attractive woman. Us guys, we actually have to put some work in.
Yeah. Like since 5 or 6 years, I'm putting on daily basis 2 to 5 hours reading researches, following experts like neurologists, biologists, sociologists, psychologists, and to really deep. That's part of my personality. I'm let's say I have curiosity. I'm curiosity maniac. Like I like to go deep down in everything. Like I want to understand, and I got around 4 certificates from Oxford University online. 2 of them is on counseling, consultation, business, and in life coaching. And I got NLP, neuro-linguistic programming from California College. So when I go deep down and think, I want to be the top of it. Yeah. I spend a lot of time to learn more and more and more and more. So I do not go back. I go hard or go home.
Yeah. What? So you got a certification for life coaching?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm working on a life coaching certification, but honestly, I'm sort of doing it ironically, because the funny thing is about life coaches is you don't in the United States anyway, you don't have to have any kind of certification. You don't have to have any.
I don't also.
Yeah, you
I
can
got
just
it as an extra for like these idiot people. Oh, are you certified to say that?
yeah.
Yes, motherfucker, I'm certified. Here's it.
Yeah, that's exactly why I'm doing it. I'm like, you know what? There's people that are like, what gives you the authority to speak on this? It's like, well, I'm an avid reader. I study this stuff. I more importantly, I go out and practice this stuff. I can see that it works.
Mhm.
So yeah, I think I know a thing or two about this. But but you want a guarantee on the box. You want you want a piece of paper that says I know something. Okay, like the Wizard of Oz movie with the scarecrow that says he has a brain because he has a piece of paper. It's dumb, but that some people need that to feel
Yeah.
better about themselves, I
No,
guess.
that's very low IQ argument
It
because
is.
like if you follow the main like experts and scientists that change the nature of the human science, like which did like a very hard curve in the human knowledge, such as Einstein, Isaac Newton. Neither of them have any certificate in anything.
Hmm.
Neither of them. Socrates don't have certificate in philosophy.
Yeah.
Like none of them. Isaac Newton doesn't have certificate in physics. uh, all of them, all these like hyper productive people do not have any certificate in anything. Elon Musk sending rockets to the space, he never studied rocket science. He never studied rocket science. How did you do that? How are you the chief engineer of SpaceX? You see, it says, I read a lot of books and I surround myself with smart people. That's it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, yeah. People, but yeah, you're right. Though there's some people that, for whatever reason, they have that self-limiting belief or whatever that this guy needs a certificate. Oh, he has a piece of paper on his wall. Okay, I'll listen to him. Like, come on. and then
okay.
and then with I mean, we probably can't say too much about it, but the recent virus that went around that shut down the whole world. There's
Mm.
doctors out there saying certain things because they're getting paid by big pharmacies to say those things, not because they're any kind of authority,
Yeah,
you know,
commissioners.
but people listen to them because they're doctors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Would you rather to learn how to make money from a PhD holder in economic in the university that strive in the middle of the month with his salary, or from someone who didn't finish high school like Andrew Tate, who make
Mhm.
like over than 400 million? Who you think you will get most benefit from?
Oh, educate, 100%. 100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude knows how to make something from nothing. The professors only know how to teach, and they say
Mm.
that those who can't do teach. So
Yeah, 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 yeah. So that's very low IQ argument. Actually, all of my clients in the past like 3 years, none of them mentioned that I want to see your certificate. Because listen, I have over than 400 hours of content, written over than 50 articles with scientific references. Anyone who read and watch that, he know this man. He know what he's doing. He's not an idiot.
mhm.
Come on. So I never faced that somebody who will ask. I got it. I got
Mhm.
bunch of certificates saved here and on my laptop, but none of them, even the university that contacted me to give a lecture in the university with PhD holders in the audience, by the way, none of them asked me for my certificate because they know this man is expert. He know what he's talking about.
Yeah, yeah. Smart people know what's up.
Yeah, yeah. So today, guys, we're gonna talk about main four topics. Let me mention it for you guys, which is we will start by the sexual revolution, and then the Judeo-Christian values, the female promiscuity, the marriage expectation, and the Islamic value in the East. So let's start by the sexual revolution. Since the 60s, 50s, 60s, they started by the sexual liberation movement in a combination with the feminism. You remember, burn the bra, like just drop this, like it is like a chain on your neck. do whatever you want, like go out to the bikini with the G-string, do whatever you want, have as
Mhm.
much as sexual partner, we can do it like a man. And this propaganda starts to drop from the second stage of cancer, or the second wave of feminism. I prefer to say stage of cancers. You are
Yeah.
maybe like you are now in the West in the fourth stage of cancer, so it
Mhm.
is like non-reversible.
It's
Okay,
terminal.
since the second stage, yeah, the second stage of cancer, which is in the 60s during I believe the Vietnamese War. It was the women were in the streets burning their bras while like the men was dying in the war. And
Mhm.
the percentage actually in the Korean War and the Vietnamese War, in the Korean War, was 68,000 men to 8 women.
Wow.
Can you believe that? Or
I actually do. Yeah.
99.97.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Men are the disposable sex. That's for sure.
yeah. And women was like celebrating in the streets, burning their bras while the man was getting bombed.
Hmm.
That's the life. That's the societies that we live in. So since the woman dropped the modesty and dropped these and adapted to the sexual liberation and sexual revolution, and the values start to drop, the female values start to drop. Who do you think is getting more benefit, the female or the male in the Western society?
Well, are you talking about modern day?
Yeah, like after all of these years.
Yeah. Honestly, I think men are benefiting from it because men, uh, a lot of men just want to, especially in the West, a lot of men just want to sleep around. They want to spin plates, and there's plenty of women now that will do that. That that are just freely giving it away. And
Mm.
so a lot of guys are learning that there's no benefit to getting married anymore. There's no benefit to, having long-term relationships for a lot of guys. And so men are taking like smart men are taking advantage of that situation. The guys that are getting hurt by that are the real traditional minded men, that are, looking back to the 50s to, husband and wife and 2.5 kids and, leave it to Beaver.
The Tradcons, the
Tradcons.
Tradcons is losing. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. Rollo Tomasi says a lot that Tradcons want a time machine. They don't want a red pill.
yeah.
Right. Whereas a red pill, from what I understand of it, is sort of teaching men how to operate under the current conditions as opposed to trying to reverse everything.
In the realistic world,
Right.
like that we live in right now.
Yeah. So I would say that men are more benefiting from it, and women absolutely aren't benefiting from it at all.
Let's say the top 20% of men, not all men.
I think that's pretty accurate. Yeah. I mean, especially if you go by dating app statistics, that proves to be true, right? Like a majority, almost 100% of women are going for the same 20% of guys on dating apps. One thing though that I try to teach men is that, especially on dating apps, is
Hmm.
that it's not that hard to get into the 20% if you know how
Hmm.
to work the dating app, because most dating apps, what it comes down to is pictures, how you structure your bio, and then how you open with women on dating apps. So if you have good pictures, you can easily get into that 20%.
Yeah, if you get in shape, you will pass 50% of the American society.
Oh, dude, 75% is obese right now. So it's never the bar has never been lower for men to
Yeah.
get into that 20%. Oh yeah. Yeah, but there's a lot of guys, and you probably see them in the comments. I see them in the comments all the time that have completely given up on women. For whatever, giving up spinning plates, giving up relationships, whatever, because they just think it's too hard to get into that 20%. It's like, guys, come on, it's come on, man.
Lazy ass cowards.
Yeah, they're quitters.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I think definitely they're all going for the 20% of men, but don't you think that's sort of always been the case. I mean, women have hypergamy has been there forever. It's in women's blood, right? So
Yeah,
they've
but
always
gynocentrism, it never been forever. It
well
is very
not
new thing.
gynocentrism, but hypergamy. And so I think women have always wanted their best possible option. But yeah, you're right. Gynocentrism, the way the world is sort of catered towards women, they bail women out. That's only been you know, very recent.
Yeah, from a historical standpoint, gynocentrism uh, started to be a thing in the last 60 years.
Mm-hmm.
Like before that, the whole society was surrounded by encouraging the masculine traits, encouraging the masculine traits.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, you know, if you go back to the 50s and 60s, going to jail was a pride. I'm not talking about stealing or
Mm-hmm.
about scamming. I'm talking about fighting.
Mm.
If you did a fight, broke some heads, and go to jail, that's a pride.
Mm.
That's used to be a pride. Like this man is a fighter, like he's respected in the society.
Mm-hmm.
And if a man have zero tolerance for female bullshit, he used to be very attractive and very encouraged in the societies.
Yeah.
Who doesn't put up with any female bullshit. His tolerance is zero. Like his frame is fucking carbon fiber. It's
Mm-hmm.
not even steel. So these traits and this behavior from men used to be encouraged, but nowadays all of that is considered toxic. It's considered toxic. Like nobody. I'll tell you something about even in the Middle East. In the Middle East, we never considered men who hit a woman a toxic man or an extremist or a bad man.
Mm-hmm.
It always depends on why. But nowadays, what's common between people, anybody hit any woman for any reason is a bad man.
Even in
And
the Middle
that's
East.
uh, some of it. You know, like we have an extension, like extended waves of liberalism is reaching our area through the mainstream media
Mm-hmm.
and Netflix, blah blah blah, all this social engineering bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're trying very hard, and some people is adapting this. Like we are not the perfect world, but it is on very low percentage than the West. So
That's
I
one thing
started to hear that.
yeah, well, I mean, actually, a good point that you bring up because there's a lot of guys over here, and again, you probably see them in the comments, but there's a lot of men over here. We sort of jokingly call them passport bros, where they have this idea that women in the West are completely broken, so they're going to go overseas to find a traditional type wife. But one thing that they don't quite understand is that gynocentrism is spreading globally. And if it's going to the Middle East, where I would venture to say the Middle East is probably still to this day one of the most conservative areas in the world.
Yeah.
If gynocentrism is spreading there, bro, you can't passport your way into prosperity this way. You have to learn how to work within this.
Yeah, a lot of guys in the West think that this is easy. You have to understand. I heard one time Sterling Cooper talking about this, him and John. I know John. John is my friend, John MLD.
John MLD. Okay, I
Yeah.
haven't talked to him yet. I'd love to have him on my show.
Yeah, I got him in my show, and I've been on his show. But I listened to them speaking in one with Justin Waller,
Mhm.
and he used to say, I want to marry a Muslim wife. A lot of people in the West think that is possible. In Islamic religion, the Muslim woman will never ever be married to non-Muslim man.
Mhm.
Will never ever be married to non-Muslim man. That's not marriage. Like one of the marriage condition for the male to be Muslim.
Yeah.
So it will never be marriage. You can fuck with her as doing adultery, but you can't tell me that I married her. So this is the number one condition for to marry a Muslim woman. You can't.
Do you think that's one of the reasons why Andrew Tate converted to Islam?
No, actually,
No. Okay.
maybe that's an extra benefit, but it is not the main reason because his life, his point of view of Islam is consistent since he was 16.
Okay.
And I'll tell you why. He never mentioned that a lot. I have mutual friends with Andrew.
Hmm.
He told me about his coach, which his name is Amir. His
Mm.
coach plays the father figure after his mother and father separated, and he traveled with his mother to United Kingdom, to Luton, which is a Muslim area, majority Muslim area of London, and his father is in the United States, so it is very far distance.
Mm.
Uh, when he go to learn to be coached to be a kickboxer, his his coach is Amir. He's a Muslim from Bosnian, and he's a very tough man. He'd been in two war, got six shots without dying,
Oh
shot
wow.
six
Yeah.
times without
Hmm.
dying. So he played a little bit as a masculine, as a father figure in his life while his dad was away, and he's still in a good relation with him, and he have a lot of Muslim friends. So he know a lot about Muslim values because he growed between them. Like he raised in a Muslim neighborhood, and he have a lot of Muslim friends. So his point of view of Islam was consistent since long time. Like I was expecting that since long time. He have a lot of respect for Islam, for the intolerance that we have.
Hmm.
Like you will never see let's say a rainbow flag among Kaaba and Saudi Arabia.
Right.
You will never see a gay imam in in the in the in the in the mosque.
Hmm.
People will slaughter him.
Yeah.
That's not acceptable and that's not changeable because the God's word is in the script. This is a sin. You
Hmm.
can't say otherwise because you'll be a fucking idiot. We have the script and we read it.
Yeah.
So there is zero tolerance for this. Not like the Pope of the Vatican, like wearing the cross with the rainbow flags and
Right.
having the rainbow flags inside the church. That's a level of tolerance that will make the religion, from my perspective, will make the religion collapse on itself because there's nothing solid enough to stay standing. You know?
Yeah, no, that's actually a really good point. That's something that I think about a lot because there's a lot of people that think that the United States is not a very tolerant nation, and they'll badmouth the United States. This is people that live here, and they'll badmouth the United States, talk about how we're racist, we're all this stuff. It's like, well, okay, but you're able to say whatever you want to say right now. You're able to fly your rainbow flags. You're able to, say bad things about the president. You're able to do whatever.
Yeah.
But you go live in another country, like, places in the Middle East, and you're going to be stoned to death. It's like you don't realize what you have here. So I don't know. A lot of people just don't understand that here, and I'm like, look, you can have your viewpoint, but if you're going to badmouth the United States, I recommend that you go visit some other countries because you wouldn't be able to say what you're saying here, in other places.
You know what? I have no problem with being in let's say rough ruling while it is clear.
Hmm.
I have no problem living. For example, I speak a little bit Russian. I have a lot of Russian friends.
Hmm.
I have no problem living under Putin regime. You know why? Because things are clear.
Yeah.
What you can do is clear, and what you can't do is clear.
Hmm.
people People who burn the in some American states, who burn the American flag,
Yeah.
that will be okay. If you burn the rainbow flag, you will go to jail for years.
Yeah. Cause it's hate speech. Yeah. It's like,
It is not hate speech against the American flag, and it's hate speech about this fraction of 1% of the society.
yeah.
So it is not okay. Can you criticize Jews in the United States?
You
You will get
can.
fucked.
You can. It's not illegal, but like if I were to do that on my podcast would get canceled. I'd get deplatformed. Yeah.
If you do it in any, like, can you give a lecture criticizing the Holocaust? You can't. You can't.
I'd get
The
canceled.
numbers.
Yeah, I'd get
You will get
canceled.
cancelled and you will get in jail. That's anti-Semitism. That's blah blah blah. They will cancel you. They will drop your charges. They will make you disappear.
Mm-hmm.
So the rules here, like if you're telling me this is a free speech, it have to be 100% free.
Mm-hmm.
If you was talking about the jab, look at Dr. Robert Malone
Mm-hmm.
talking about the jab. He's the inventor. He's the motherfucking inventor of the mRNA technology.
Mm-hmm.
He's the inventor. He's the scholar who invented this technology. When he started to say this should not be mandate on children and on young people.
Mm-hmm.
This should be could this is have a side effects. He's a scholar.
Yeah.
He's been cancelled.
Yeah.
Joe Rogan almost been cancelled because he got him in his show. So you're telling me there's a free speech. Why free speech applies here and does not apply here? In Middle East, for example, even if you live under one of the dictatorship, what you can't say is very clear.
Mm-hmm.
Do not criticize the regime and do whatever the fuck you want. You want to talk about homosexuality, you want to talk about Christianity, Islam as criticizing, not as mocking. Like why Muslims do that, why Christians do that. You can say whatever you want. I can criticize the American, I can criticize the Russian, I can criticize sexual behavior, promiscuity. I can criticize anything.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a red line. It's very clear. Just this subject, do not talk about it. I'm happy with that. I'm happy with that. Prefer not to live in country that pretend that it is free speech while everything is blurry. Like you're walking in a landmine. Like you might touch this place and it will go blow under your leg.
Yeah.
Don't you think so?
Well, yeah, it's a very interesting situation right now. And the counter argument, I'm not saying I agree with it, but the counter argument is that, well, you're on these platforms that are owned by private companies, and those private companies, they can do whatever they want with your content on their platform, and so you don't have free speech there because they set the rules.
Yeah.
But so with that, it's like, okay, that's still messed up though, because you only have one side of the political spectrum that basically runs all those platforms, which is one of the reasons why I'm really excited that Elon Musk bought Twitter, because Twitter is actually fun again. but yeah, I mean, it's a situation that, especially because I'm somewhat conservative and also being someone that's in the red pill space, where I'm constantly getting my stuff deplatformed, especially on TikTok. I don't know if you use TikTok at all, but
yeah, I lost 70,000 followers on TikTok.
Yeah, I had my first account got banned. I had about 30,000 followers. My current account, it's taken me well over a year. I still haven't even got to that point now, and now I'm so shadow banned on there. I only get
got it from the same IP.
Various IPs. It doesn't matter. It's the no. Oh, you mean what? My new account? Yeah, my new account was with a new IP, but still, it's just taken a long time to get here. I've had videos go viral on there, but lately, the last 2 months, I'm only getting like 60 views on a video when I have 25,000 followers. It just doesn't make any sense. So that's why I've sprouted out to Instagram and YouTube, where my content is not banned so much, and Twitter is getting better because Elon Musk took over. So I'm hoping things are shifting the other way. I think TikTok's a lost cause because they're ran by the Chinese. So yeah, I don't know. But it's funny that what you're talking about as far as some of these other countries that people in the United States would think are maybe less free. Like Russia, for instance. I have a friend that, because of all the COVID lockdowns and stuff going on in Canada, fled to Russia. because Russia is more free when it came to that sort of thing, and he's loving it in Russia right now. And I was just like, man, like how bad does it have to be in Canada for you to run to Russia? You know, because we have this perception in the United States that Russia is this like dictatorship. It's like on lockdown all the time. But he's like, dude, it's not like that at all, man. They leave us alone. They're really good at protecting their borders, but they otherwise don't care what we do. I'm like, that's amazing.
I bet he's happy for paying $3 per month for gas.
$3 a month. That's it. $3 a month.
Yeah,
oh, that's cheap.
Not the gasoline, the gas for the butane gas, the cooking gas.
That's still cheap. That's still cheap.
Of course. $3 per month.
I pay like I think 50 bucks a month for my gas hookup to my house. 50 bucks.
In what city you live?
I live in the middle of nowhere. I live really close to a city called Grand Junction, Colorado. I'm about an hour outside of that. But I live in the middle of nowhere. No one's ever heard of where I'm at.
Do you know Aaron Clary?
I do. Yeah. Yeah.
You hang out with him?
I actually went maybe a month and a half ago up to his house in South Dakota, and he took me hiking. Yeah, he's a good guy. I like Aaron.
Yeah. I got him in my channel also. He got very interesting books. The Menu, the Problem with High IQ, the Curse of IQ. Yeah, and the Book of Numbers. Like that was very, very, very interesting, because when economical mind break down the probabilities by numbers, when you read that, holy shit, I have to try with a 16,000 woman to get one successful date.
Yeah,
fuck that. Like I can do things better than that.
Yeah. I love Aaron, but he's kind of a pessimist when it comes to stuff like that. I'm more of an optimist. So yeah,
he's talking about the average guy. He's not talking about the guy who got game frame money.
Right. No. Yeah, that's right. He's talking about average Joe number 5 trying to get,
the Joe Schmo.
Yeah, the perfect 10 woman. It's like, you have an uphill battle, buddy. You have an uphill battle unless you're like super charismatic and charming and you're meeting them in person. That's probably not going to happen for you. But but yeah, if you just go to the gym, maybe lose 10, 15 pounds, you have a shot. Yeah.
Yeah. I believe in today's day and age, face-to-face approach will work much better than Instagram or Tinder approach.
I think that's true to an extent. My only problem with in person is that you're limited to the area that you're walking around trying to do cold approach in, and you're sort of hoping that there's going to be attractive women while you're there, right? Whereas if you're trying to date on a dating app, you have like an entire city that you can work with. You know that women are there trying to meet a man, so you know that there's some kind of mutual interest there. So that's one thing I actually like about dating apps. I have a friend named Benny Lichtenwalner, and he teaches men how to pick up women on Instagram and Facebook. And his same thing. His method is basically virtual cold approach, though, using video or voice messages. And same thing, you get a broader area to work with, and you can still, if you're doing video messages, you can still show your body language, all of your faculties, your humor, your facial expressions and stuff like that you don't have with text. And so his men are the guys that are under his coaching program are getting fantastic results with that. But the only problem with his method that I don't like is that it's a grind. It's a constant grind. You're constantly trying to add new women. You can only add like 30 women a day. And out of those 30, you might get 10 that follow you back. And then out of those 10, you might, send video messages to, and you might only get like 2 replies. And you're doing that daily. It's just a daily grind. So I am still a proponent of dating apps. I still think that it's the most efficient way to meet women in the modern age.
Yeah, but don't you think that the competition on because to approach a woman on the dating app doesn't need any courage. So the female have a radar for courage.
Yeah.
For courage in male. She can receive like 50 to 100 message per day.
Yeah.
But the guy who approached her in the mall,
Mhm.
like with a big smile, with a confident, with a chest up, like she will remember this guy more than the 30. Hey, hi, you look beautiful. Hi, hi.
Yeah. Well,
She will remember that guy more.
you're probably right about that, but there's on some dating apps, like especially on Bumble, you can actually send video replies now, and I think some of them are going to start doing video, so you can start being a little more bold with that. But one thing that I've learned, I went to my friend Benny's retreat last year, and he did an experiment. He had his wife sign up for a fake dating app profile, and she swiped on like a whole bunch of dudes on the way up to the retreat, and she got pretty much 100% match rate with that, obviously, because women get just way more matches than men. And one thing that we studied was how women use dating apps. And one of the things that she was showing us is when she was using dating apps, she wouldn't even open a message. She was just looking at everything in preview mode.
Mhm.
And what she would do is if a guy sent something interesting in like the first 7 words, then she would
Mhm.
say, oh, and then look at his profile and go, oh, yeah, his pictures look interesting. Yeah, maybe I'll reply to this one.
Mhm.
But for the most part, all the guys that just open with, hey, beautiful, what you doing? Just boring stuff get immediately eliminated. So I think it really comes down to how you open with women on dating
The hook
apps.
message.
Yeah, the opening message is like
Yeah, yeah.
paramount.
Should be like a hook
Yep,
to
a hook.
to grab her attention. Yeah,
Just like just like on YouTube, you got to hook them so
yeah,
that they watch your damn video for more than 7
yeah.
seconds.
It's like the thumbnail.
Yeah, exactly.
Dr. Hussam from Turkey here saying in Islamic country there is rules you have to follow. I said that because of the attack on Qatar. Yeah, yeah. This is virtue fucking signaling. I'm tired of this bullshit. Like the British is virtue signaling about the workers in Qatar. You bombed countries that lost 2 million civilians. Now you care a lot about few workers that die under the sun. You really care about them? Go and fuck yourself. You killed civilians by million in the last 50 years. So do not virtue signal, as the FIFA president says, we at the European, for what we did for the last 3,000 years, we have to keep apologizing from the world for the next 3,000 years. Do not virtue signaling on other people. Come on. Like every single country who hosted the Mondial, the World Cup, they did like mass murdering in wars, and they have blood in their hands. So do not keep virtue signaling other people.
What happened in Qatar? I'm not familiar with that.
A lot of people, because they are in intolerance of LGBTQ,
Hmm.
and under the working of construction there is some workers die under the pressure of work, like few. And
Hmm.
that's regular. It's nothing related to Qatar. This is very very high temperature area,
Hmm.
the Gulf area. You've been to Dubai.
Yeah, yeah.
Like by Celsius it used to reach 55 degree. Like at 55 degree you can't touch the asphalt by your leg. You
I
can't touch it.
I've never experienced heat like I have in the Middle East. The first time I went to the Middle East, I landed in Bahrain at the airport, and I was coming from England. And so
Mhm.
I was wearing a turtleneck shirt, I was wearing a leather jacket, and I got off the plane, and when I walked outside, I wanted to die. It was it
It was like
was so
sauna, like waves of
it was
heat.
just it was just so hot. I was like, "Oh my." I was trying to peel stuff off, and I had the turtleneck on. I couldn't take that off, and I was just like, "Oh."
Mm.
I was just like, this is unbelievable. But luckily, when I was in the Navy on my ship, my job was an operations specialist. So I worked with radar and navigation and stuff like that. So I was in an air conditioned room all day. So that was nice. I was actually wearing a jacket for the most part, but then you'd go topside to go have a cigarette or something. And it was just just unbelievable heat there. It's just most people, unless they live in maybe Arizona or something like that, would have no idea how hot it gets there.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Actually, like I took very long time when I used to live there to adapt to the high temperature. When I reached there, I moved there in 2014. It was in November, and we used to have in Jordan. When I left Jordan, we had a snowstorm. So the temperature in Amman was -10 Celsius,
Mm.
-10. The zero is the freezing degree, -10 below zero.
Oh,
So
yeah.
when I reached Abu Dhabi airport there, when I go out, of course I was wearing like a heavy jacket. It's -10, like it's ice cold.
Mhm.
When I reached Abu Dhabi, it was 28, 27. It was like nothing, like summer.
Yeah.
That in the mid of the winter, it should be freezing. Like everybody's wearing t-shirts, like running on the beach, and
Yeah.
like they're living like in summer. Yeah,
Yeah. That's kind of like going from Colorado where it gets really cold here and then going visiting Florida or something
yeah,
like that in the wintertime. It's nice down there, but it's blizzarding here.
yeah. Mar here, and this is one of the female members of my channel.
Mm.
I believe this question for you. Can Western women who've had premarital affairs condition a potential spouse to wait intimacy until marriage? If not, why? Wouldn't that make it worse for her if she doesn't make him wait?
So this is a woman who's had premarital affairs, and then she wants
Yeah,
to
here's it.
tell a potential spouse to wait until marriage. Women do that game all the time here,
Mm.
where I like to call them born again virgins, where they
Yeah,
where they they will sleep with all these guys, and then the guy that they like, they'll try to make him wait. But I mean, it's one of those situations where guys will fall for that all the time. They'll be like,
mm.
oh, she's making me wait. Well, yeah, she's a good
She
girl.
have virtue. She have
She's
morals.
virtuous. Oh, she's good. But the thing is that women will make rules for guys that they think are beta, but they'll break them for guys that they think are more alpha, right? So if she's making you wait, she thinks you're a beta. And I try to tell
Doesn't
guys
worth
like
it.
hey, man, if she's making you wait, it's not worth it. It's not worth the wait. It's and she's not making other guys wait. So I usually tell guys to have at least a 3-date rule when it comes to stuff like that. If she's not, giving it up by the 3rd date, then you need to move on to the next woman. And there's always another woman out there.
Of course.
And then also I also tell guys too that just because she's giving it up to you on the 3rd date doesn't mean that she's not necessarily marriage material. I don't recommend getting married in the United States at all.
Mm.
But at least long-term
Because of the
relationship material,
law, or because of the female mindset,
because
or
of
both.
the law.
Yeah.
The laws here are just so unfavorable to men. I was married for 14 years, and
Mm.
I had to pay my wife I still have to pay my wife child support, but at least I get my kid. I have my kids half the time, but I had to pay her alimony for 5 years, and I paid her. Over the total of 5 years, I paid her $100,000 in alimony.
Shit.
Yeah, so it's just not worth it for guys, because women, when they decide they want to leave for whatever reason, they get awarded usually with all these cash and prizes. So there's no benefit for men to actually sign that piece of paper anymore. Now I'm one of those guys that I like monogamous, long-term relationships. So I've been dating a gal. I call her Nurse Chick because she's a nurse. I've been dating her for over a year and a half, and she treats me like an absolute king. She cooks for me. She comes over here and, you know, cleans and does all my laundry and stuff. I don't even ask her to do that. She's just, you know, a really good, very traditional type woman.
She have wifey material qualities.
She does, but she also knows that I'll never get married. She's one of the few exceptions in the United States where she was married too at one point, and she made more than her husband, and she had to pay him alimony. So she gets it. She knows like how screwed up.
You are totally opposite polar.
Right. Well, she just knows that it's that the being able to.
She felt that pain.
Yeah, she's felt that pain, and most women haven't. So most women don't get it because, you know, women only tend to get things if it's happened to them. You know, so yeah, but she, you know, she didn't make me wait, and that didn't make her a, you know, necessarily a, you know, non-long-term relationship material either. She has a lot of great characteristics. She has that genuine desire, and I think that's really what men really need to look for in a potential, you know, woman.
What about, are you Christian? Are you religious?
I was raised Christian, but I wouldn't consider myself Christian anymore.
Yeah, because I want to ask you about what about them the religious marriage for in Islam. I don't need the government to confirm my marriage. I have like the conditions from God as an Islamic marriage. If I pass the all terms of the Islamic marriage, I don't need the government to say yes or no, or you're married or you're not married, because I'm married in front of God. So I don't give a fuck about what the government says.
Sure.
So that's how Muslims do it in United States and in Canada. They get a religious marriage, and like they will never visit the family court.
Yeah, and that's, well, the thing is, depending on the state,
the cohabitation law.
They have they call it common law marriage, and certain states recognize if you live under the same house and you act as man and wife for a certain period of time,
2 years or 1 year or 6 months.
It really depends on the state. Then they consider you legally married, and if you want to split up, you could just split up and not have a problem with it. But if she wants money, she can go and petition the family courts for
her name have to be on the rent contract.
It doesn't have to.
Contract.
No, she just has to prove that she lived with you for that amount of time. So what I would recommend for guys that want to do something like that and just get a religious marriage is find a state that doesn't recognize common law marriage, and there's a handful of them, and live in that state and do it in that state, and then you'll probably.
I believe Texas and Florida do not have that.
I don't know which states do and don't, so I couldn't speak to that. But there's a handful of them that don't recognize it.
Yeah, that's a great beneficial advice. And there is one of my friends in Texas told me that there's other option, which is you can design your own contract as a common law. You can get back to a specialized attorney to design your own contract, or to be judged by specific marriage rules under Sharia law, for example. You have some institutions that they have some rules based on Islamic rules, and if you agreed, you and your wife, that we will follow this rule, when she go to the family court, you will be judged by the same rules that you agree on in the first place. That's another way of getting married.
I know they have a thing here called like a prenuptial agreement.
Yeah.
And you can do stuff like that, and it's basically a contract that says that you keep whatever assets you bring into the relationship when you leave. But the thing is, in a lot of cases, the family court judges will throw certain things out of your, like, they just will disregard it. And
that need to be renewed every year or every 5 years.
Yeah, so it like, to me, it's just like it's not even worth, doing something like that. Basically, like if you have to because of religious reasons get married, I think doing it the way you suggested, in a church or a mosque or
Mosque,
whatever, yeah, then that's the only way that I think you should do it. But you should do it in a state that doesn't recognize common law marriage.
You have to meet Abu American, man. You know Abu American?
What's that?
Abu American.
Oh, I know of him. I know of him. Yeah.
Yeah, he collaborated with Rollo with the fourth book, which is the religion, for the Islamic section of the book. He's very good friend of mine. He got 4 wives in Berlin. That's near impossible. He has 4 wives in Berlin.
He has 4 wives, and he lives in Berlin.
Yeah.
Oh, and they don't allow that there, or what?
It is a religious marriage. Under the law, he's married to 1.
Okay. They do that. They do that in Utah, in Salt Lake City, Utah, and stuff like that.
Yeah, with the Mormons. Yeah.
The Mormons do that kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, but like in Utah, they decriminalized the multi-wives.
Oh, did they?
Year. Yeah.
Oh, wow! I didn't know that. So now it's legal. Yeah. They can marry as many.
It is not mentioned in the law, but it's not criminal.
Oh, so they still have to do it the same way, where they marry one, and then the rest is a religious marriage.
They might have a small penalty, like $100 charge or something. Like,
okay,
it's nothing.
Okay, and then they just don't get investigated and stuff, because they were always doing that. But then, like, the state, if they found out about it, would investigate and crack down on it. Yeah, so they're just not cracking down.
Now it's not criminal.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's not a crime. I mean,
yeah.
But in Europe, it is a crime. In Germany, in France, in the United Kingdom, it is a crime.
Yeah.
So he have some balls. Like, he have around 11 kids from 4 wives.
That's a lot, man. I have 2 kids. That's too much.
All the manosphere says. I say that a lot. All the manosphere says, build your tribe, build your tribe. Abu American, he's the only one of the manosphere who built his tribe.
He's really built the whole tribe. Yeah. Yeah, good on him, man. I couldn't do it, man. I have 2 kids. My daughter is she's going to graduate high school this year. She's about ready to move out on her own. And then my son is 13. And so he's only got a couple of years left. And I'm like, I couldn't have a whole tribe of kids. I just couldn't deal with it.
It is very, very, very expensive in the United States.
Oh, outrageously expensive. Yeah.
Yeah. Especially if you want to give them a good education, a good conditions of life. Like, it is very expensive.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Sexual evolution. We talked a little bit about the Judeo-Christian values. Like, how old are you? Like, I believe you're around 40.
I'm 43.
43. Okay. In your lifetime, in the past 20, 30 years, let's say, what is the most things that you miss of the Judeo-Christian values in the society, as moral standard in the society? As
a moral standard?
Yeah.
Well,
things used to be a shame. Things used to be a shame, and now it is okay.
Oh, man. I would say a lot of things that were still sort of frowned upon 20 years ago are still somewhat frowned upon in public today, but a lot of people sort of openly embrace it behind the scenes. And that's, cheating on your spouse. That's happening a lot. Whereas it's always happened, but it was always like sort of under the rug. It's funny. The funny thing about morals in Red Pill, I just got slapped on Twitter the other day because I put out a tweet saying, don't sleep with another man's wife. Right. Because that's a personal, moral that I have. And I recommend that guys don't do that.
That's man code.
Yeah. And the thing is that a couple of guys, Ryan Stone, are you know Ryan, right?
Yeah.
Ryan Stone's one of them. A guy named Rob Says, they're like, look, red pill's not necessarily about morals. It's about objective reality. And they're like, if you tell people not to do these certain things, you're sort of like, you know, preaching to them, but it's not necessarily helpful to men because we can't, if we don't talk about these certain things, then we can't learn about these certain things, like women's nature to, you know, to cheat, looked for like with alpha guys. Um, so that being said, I would say like maybe 20 years ago, marriage was a little bit more, more of a thing that people strive for. I mean, when I was 18, I got married when I was 20, because I was one of those guys that was like looking for that traditional white picket fence, the have kids, settle down early and meet my soulmate. And I sort of miss those types of values, but it's just not a reality anymore, and unfortunately.
Yeah. We like to analyze the objective reality, but to throw the whole morals in the garbage,
Hmm.
you will be something like animal. You will degrade your humanity.
Hmm.
Second of all, nobody will respect you.
Mm.
Machiavellians are garbage human being. People who do not keep their words, people who are not honest, who do not have personal boundaries. These people are functioning in the objective reality, by the way,
Hmm.
like what Ryan Stone is speaking about.
Yeah.
But with no moral standards, you will never have respect from anyone, not from men, not from women, not from society, not from government, not from religious people, not even from the atheist people.
Hmm.
If you can't keep your words, like, how am I going to deal with you? You're a fucking liar. You have no boundaries. Like, if I introduce you to my wife, like after 2 days you'll try to contact my wife, I will fuck you up. You will sleep in the hospital.
Yeah.
Like, nobody will respect you if there is no basic trust with the manly behavior
Yeah.
between men. You will never get respected. Never ever get
Yeah.
respected. So you can't throw the morals in the garbage and function in what's more benefit to me. No,
Yeah.
what's more benefit to me? I will fuck people up. I'll take their money. That's what's most benefit for me. I'm a strong man. I'm powerful. I have connections. I can literally fuck people up. But why I'm not doing that? I have morals. People respect me. Like,
Hmm.
people know this is an honest man. This is honorable man. So there is a conflict between personal benefit and between personal benefit and respect from other people, and the socially structured, like, let's say, moral ground in the society. We need that.
Yeah.
If that eliminated in the society, we are a bunch of fucking chimpanzees.
Yeah.
Like, we are not humans anymore. You need this for the society to function.
Yeah, and I think what one of the things that they're getting at though is sort of the whole mental point of origin aspect too, where it's like you sort of have to look at what's best for you, and your values and morals might not be the same as like my values and morals, that kind of thing. So that's why they're sort of cautioning about not
No,
preaching certain morals.
there is overlapping, like, minimum things,
Sure.
right? There's a minimum things. If you, for example, if I was visiting the United States
Hmm.
and you introduce me to your girlfriend. Hi, this is Kareem coming from the Middle East. This is, for example, Rebecca.
Hmm.
Hi, nice to meet you. I will never ever, that will never ever cross my mind to think about her sexually. Why? Because
Hmm.
I have a respect of you as a man, as a
Hmm.
friend. Okay, that will never ever cross my mind. Zero. The probability is zero. And I guess that does not need a specific religion to tell you. Like,
Yeah.
I have friends, atheist friends, Jews friends, Christian friends, Sikh friends, from all, and we all agree on that. There is a minimum. I'm not telling you to be a Muslim, or you're not telling me to follow your ideology, the exact one.
Yeah.
but there's like standard, let's say, overlap that known between men. For example, in Jordan, I was talking about this subject a few days ago. If I got triggered, for example, from one while I driving, like he's really fucking annoying. I want to fuck him up. If I looked at him and he have his wife and kids in the car, I'll tell him, I'm sorry, just go. Don't worry, bro. Like, just go. I'm sorry for that. If he have his wife and his kids, if he's single, I will fuck him up. I will send him to the hospital. But and that's vice versa. If I have my mom, my kids, my sister in the car, even if somebody will want to get in conflict with me, when he see it, when he see the family, no, just leave him alone. Like, we'll talk with him later. Even the drugs cartel in Colombia have this. Like, don't play with people in family. They're not religious. They are selling cocaine.
Yeah.
But they have this basic understanding of manhood. So
yeah, no, I agree. And especially going back to what you were saying about, if I introduce you to my girlfriend and like the next day you're trying to get with her, I would look at someone like that as, well, you're not my friend. Get out of here.
You're not a man. I can't trust you as a man.
Yeah, but and I sort of look at it like a true friend wouldn't do something like that. Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah. I don't like Rhinestone anyway. He have impulsive emotional reaction. That's why I don't like him. Yeah, I really don't like him. He is the only one in the whole manosphere. I collaborated with everyone. I have respect for almost everyone.
Really? Oh.
But Rhinestone, I have Richard Cooper, Aaron Clary, Rodo Tomasi, Abu American, Mehdi Tijani, a lot of people. But Rhinestone, no. You have impulsive emotional reaction. He react based on emotion, on the current situation.
He's done that in the past too. I mentioned my friend Benny Lichtenwalner, and Benny and I have had the same sort of thought on Rollo's first few books. The audiobooks are read by Sam Bada, and they're great books. But the way that Sam's I guess does his tonality, his voice, the way his voice comes across is very. He's reading the book in a very condescending sort of tone, very cynical type tone. And so a lot of guys, we sort of both came to the same conclusion that a lot of guys listen to the audiobook and then like come out just like hating women, right? Because of the way it sounds. Not necessarily because of the material, but just the way it sounds. And so I did a video on that. My friend Benny stitched it on TikTok, and Ryan saw it, and Ryan he flew off the handle and got really pissed at my friend Benny for saying that, because he and Sam Bada are friends. And it's not like we were shitting on Sam Bada. Sam Bada is a good dude, I'm sure. But it's just, we were just commenting on like how it sounds, how it comes across to people. And he lost his shit about it. And so, my friend Benny doesn't like Ryan either. I like Ryan. I still like Ryan. I think he's a funny guy. So
he's funny, but I don't trust emotional reaction, man. The first interaction, I was following Ryan a few months ago, or maybe half a year ago, and I usually mention Rolo, mention Richard, like we mention each other. We talk, we reply to each other. That's okay.
Yeah.
And we might disagree on something, and that's totally acceptable. That's okay. That's normal. We are not a copy of the same person.
Sure.
So Ryan was mentioning someone that he's saying that, and this is wrong, and I was accepting. I was explaining to him, no, he's right, because this and this and that, and I explained my idea. This guy, I don't remember exactly what he was talking about. That you have to reject women if she do something. And he said that this is not a red flag. I told him, no, he's right. This is a red flag. The reaction from Ryan Stone was exceptionally exceptionally strange. Like Do you know what he like how he quoted my reaction, my tweet?
Oh, he did a quote
Yeah,
retweet. Yeah. Okay.
yeah. I did not attack him personally. I'm just saying like no, like this guy is right because this and that and that. That's a totally objective opinion.
Hmm.
He quoted my tweet. He said, "You are a self-identified coach scamming people and blah blah blah." Said what,
Oh yeah.
Ryan? Like, did you have the period? What the fuck are you? What the fuck are you doing?
He does like to call everyone grifters. Yeah.
I never interacted with you personally,
Yeah.
and you don't know anything about me,
Mhm.
anything. You can ask Rolo, you can ask Richard, you can ask John, you can ask these people. They
Mhm.
know me, but you can't just start to. You are self-identified scam, blah 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 blah. I never attacked him personally at all. Never said any single letter about you.
Mm.
Like, why are you starting with this impulsive emotional reaction against me? Why?
Mhm.
We never meet each other. We never. So I guess no, no, no. Emotion waves. No, no,
Yeah.
not me. Thank you.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Yeah. Jawad here saying that thanks for the video. I'm late. I'm subbed to both and had no idea that this collab was happening. What are your thoughts on Passport Bros? Passport Bros?
Yeah, we
What do you
talked
mean?
about that a little bit. Yeah, we talked about that a little bit when I said there's these guys that have the idea that they're going to leave the United
Ah,
States and go marry some traditional girl in the West. Yeah,
yeah.
you missed it, Jawad. We talked about that already. No, but yeah, I mean, I think that it's kind of silly, you know. I think guys, gynocentrism spreading everywhere. You can't.
Hmm.
You're it's eventually going to happen wherever you're trying to flee to. So uh, I think it's kind of a silly thing to do. And if you do it, right? Like if guys who do go to like say Mexico or they go to
Hmm.
the Philippines to find a wife, uh, the qualities in that country that made her a traditional woman will be completely lost if you bring her back to the United States. If you bring
Hmm.
her back to the United
Should
States,
be reconditioned.
she'll be reconditioned. She'll start getting influence from all the other Western women, and she'll eventually be corrupted, right? So if you're gonna go be a passport bro, you need to stay in whatever country you move to. You need to just completely expatriate.
Yeah, yeah. I believe like people from the West, they have a better chance than the Middle East and East Europe. You
Hmm.
have a better chance because most of Christians, they will find Christians there. They have like some similar values. The moral structure of the society is not ruined yet, like comparing to United States, Canada, or East Europe,
Hmm.
West Europe. Sorry. So you will have things that you're looking for, but you have to understand also that this type of traditional mindset girls, they do not buy bullshit. You have to understand that. They do not buy bullshit. They do not like soft men. They do not like men who do not take leads. They do not like men who do not protect and provide. So they are impulsed by soft men. Yeah, so you have to take that under consideration.
That's actually a good point because you were talking about how back in the 50s and like before the sexual revolution, women really looked for strong masculine men. And I would argue that women still want that today in the West. They just because that's in their DNA. That's a part of their hypergamous nature. They want a guy that's at
But
a higher
they
level.
they want one who is in touch with their emotion.
That's what they say though, but that's not what they respond to, right? Like women say all sorts of shit, but that's not what they respond to at all. And
Yeah.
so if a guy just ignores what women say, especially in the West, just completely ignores what they say and just watches what they respond to and
Mm,
act accordingly, they respond to strength. Even the hardcore feminist women, if you have a
mm,
strong enough frame, if you handle their shit test, if you have good strong boundaries and stuff like that, they'll fall into your frame. You know.
mm. the I got that in the study store in my website. I got a study happened in Stockholm, Norway University, in the psychology department, by two psychologists, researchers. They found out that females females view the male feminist as less masculine than other male.
Yeah, I don't blame them.
Yeah, they actually view the male feminist as the man who support them for whatever they like, who's in touch with with their emotion. They view him as less masculine, and they view the sexist type of man are more masculine, like us. They
Mhm.
say we're sexist. Yeah, we're sexist. They're total say that both sexes are different, and they have different roles. That's why we are sexist, but that's why they view us from scientific point of view are more masculine than
Mhm.
the soft, let's say, vagina bikini hat guys in the Pride month.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's absolutely true. And I think a lot of women, I think, say that they want a guy who's in touch with his feelings, that he's emotionally available, and he's caring and nurturing, and all these feminine type qualities, because we're all raised, especially in the West, we're all raised in the same, you know, blue pilled conditioning. We're all
Yeah,
raised with the same, media and stuff like that. So we're told our whole lives, like, this is what you want. And so a lot of women buy into that, but that goes 100% against their biology. And so when a guy goes against that and is in his masculine, is in a strong frame, they are drawn to that because that's what biology wants them to be drawn to. And
mm,
a lot of them don't realize it, and they think they want all these different things. But then when guys give them those things, if they act like the male feminist, if they put them on a pedestal, it's like these women are like, I don't know what's up with this guy. I think he's a good friend. I
mm.
can tell him all my
Friend
problems.
zoning.
Yeah, they're become an emotional tampon for these women, and these women are like happy to have this guy be their best friend, their male best friend, and these guys are really just waiting for an opportunity. Whereas the guy that comes in is sexual with her, is strong, takes the lead, sets the tone. They're like they sleep with these guys right away because
Yeah,
that's what they want. Even the feminist ones.
they will cry on the emotional tampon guy's shoulder, and they will get fucked by the bad boy.
Oh, 100%. Yeah,
Yeah,
and then the really like fat, just ugly female feminists, they're just mad because nobody wants to have sex with them.
mhm.
So it doesn't matter what you do with them, but the guys don't care about them anyway. And I think that's why they're angry female feminists. But like the hot ones, they'll fall into your frame. They still want a strong masculine guy to break down those bullshit walls.
Yeah, yeah. I do totally agree. Getting back with the Judeo-Christian values, I
Yeah.
believe one of the main things that's been acceptable in the last 20, 30 years, in the 90s, let's say, and the beginning of 2000s, you never thought that there is a celebration, a public celebration, while a grown biological man will be naked in front of kindergarten people, just shaking his balls in front of their face and wearing like strange things, and that will be acceptable with the parents of the kids.
Hmm.
Like if somebody told you that in the 90s that will be okay in the streets front of kindergarten kids,
Hmm.
you'll say no shit, no way,
Yeah.
no, not front of kids. Maybe in a private place, in a stripper's place or something. Yeah, that might be acceptable, but not in front of kids. And nowadays, it is acceptable.
Yeah. Yeah. What's really scary is not just the the parents that bring their kids to stuff like that, which is that's like the transgender, book reading nonsense that's going on around. But that's not happening everywhere. Thank God. It's happening in
in the
places
Pride Month.
yeah, but it's happening in weird places like Portland and like Seattle, where they're like just super liberal. It's just like outrageously liberal. It's like Sodom and Gomorrah and those types of places. It's it's not happening in the rest of the United States. Thank God that So thankfully that's not a thing everywhere. But yeah, I look at that kind of stuff like not necessarily like I'm judging the transgender people that are doing that. I'm judging the parents that think it's okay to bring their kids to that. But what's worse than that are the parents that don't want to gender identify their kids and want their kids to figure out what genders they are. Those kids in 20 years are going to be so mentally screwed up. And that it's like their parents are doing them a complete disservice by buying into this liberal talking point that gender's not binary. That's something that goes completely against Judeo-Christian teaching 100%.
Yeah. Do you know the natural percentage of the gender dysphoria in kids? The natural percentage in the society?
No.
The natural percentage is 1 to 30,000 to 1 to 120,000. That's the natural percentage that they need psychotherapy. They need the clinical psychologist to deal with them. And the rest of them that will be fixed by their aging. Like they will find out them about their sexuality and their needs, and they will learn and they will get back like in their gender.
Yeah.
So, but nowadays, after 30 years of social engineering, the percentage is getting higher and higher and higher. In the United States, it's the highest in any society that ever existed.
Yeah. Well, I think a lot of that is the media pushing that, because I've noticed that at my kids' school, and I live like I said, I live in the middle of nowhere. I live in flyover conservative United States, and even in the small school that my kids are in, they have kids that are like they're confused about their gender. But I think the reason why they're confused is because the media makes it seem like it's the cool thing to do. And
they teach them how to be confused.
Yeah, and these kids just want to fit in and they want to be the cool kids, so they walk around with their rainbow flags. And the funny thing is about the LGBTQ community is like they keep adding letters to it, right? So it's like the LGBTQRSTUV, whatever. And so these kids, a lot of them, they are not gay. They don't have gender dysphoria. They don't have any of these things, but they'll identify as like, a potato or whatever, a attack helicopter, because it's the cool thing to do to be in that LGBTQ community in some form. But it's not like they're not.
So
they're not
some of this.
Yeah.
So some of this thing does not mean shit. Like like a man look like me with a big chest, with a big arms, can say I'm a trans lesbian. What is trans lesbian? I identify as a woman, but I only have sex with women. So that means nothing. That means I'm a man with a big balls and I fuck women. Nothing changed.
Yeah, nothing changed.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think that's really the big thing that's going on. It's the cool thing to do in the media right now. And so a lot of kids that following trends just want to do that. It's doing kids a huge disservice. Yeah. I know this before I got into the space, before I started learning red pill, before I started learning about game and stuff like that. I dated this gal for 4.5 years. This was like the red pill, the one girl that got me, once we broke up, I was like, what am I doing wrong? And I started going on this knowledge quest. Her son married a transgender woman. So it was a biological woman that identified as a man. And so he when he told his mom, he's like, Mom, I'm gay. She's like, what? And she flipped out about it. She told me, and I go, well, if he's going to be gay, it's best to be gay with a girl. The stupid thing was, though, he ended up getting this person pregnant. And the funny thing happened when that went down was my girlfriend at the time, she goes, "How can you get another man pregnant? How is that possible?" And that
reproductive, yeah.
Right. And that caused a huge like rift in her relationship with her son, stuff like that. I'm actually really glad that relationship didn't work out, because that was a fucked up situation. And I've learned so much since then, and I don't overlook red flags like that anymore. But it was a great learning experience. But yeah, that kind of stuff is very common out here. It's so weird. So weird.
Yeah. Yeah. So the society start to lose their moral values.
Do you think with the spread of gynocentrism into the Middle East, in, let's say, maybe 20 years, do you think you guys will ever have that problem, or do you think that will never happen in the Middle East?
We start to have some problems in the Middle East, like the spinsterhood percentage is getting higher and higher. You know what spinsterhood, which is old woman without a single child. That's old woman.
Okay, yeah. So that, but I mean, like, I'm talking about the transgender or LGBT thing, because you guys don't tolerate that now.
That
will never happen.
You might get 3% of the society who will accept that, but the rest of them will never accept it, because it is against our religion directly, against the clear script. Like you can't play around with it. You can't make it.
Yeah.
Like, because Quran is the same words, by the same points, by the same vowels, by the same language since 1450 years, by the same every single letter. And you have tens of millions of people or hundreds of millions of people who's memorizing the Quran 100%. Even if the books disappear, people will start to rewrite it again. All of it. So it is God saved, the Quran. So the script is one.
Yeah.
Since 15th century is one. You can't change it. Some people try to change it, by the way.
Yeah.
Some people try to change some copies, sending it to Muslims in Far East Asia, and people who memorize Quran, when they find it, no, this is wrong. Who print this? This is wrong. This word is wrong. This is not in Quran. So it is impossible to change the script. It's impossible.
Yeah.
And if you want to change the values of any religion, you have to change the script. That's why the Islamic value is more solid than the Christian value, because you have 4,000 version of the Bible, and you have like 2,000, let's say, type of churches, and everyone have their personal interpretation, and some of them change that this is King James, this is the other version of the Bible, this is the third one, this is the fourth one, this is like, there is no one in common between all of them, with one church who's reserving the whole value.
That's actually one of the reasons why I said I was raised Christian, but I don't consider myself Christian anymore. And a lot of that is because once I studied the history of the actual Bible and how it was written, how it was compiled, I quickly learned that, one, it's been condensed and mistranslated for hundreds of years. And so what was originally written isn't what we have today, for one. So we don't have what the actual story. And then two, about, I don't know, 300 years after Jesus died, all of the books that are in today's Bible were decided on. And so certain books are out there from the original Christians that were never allowed in the original Bible, or in the modern Bible, because it didn't go with what the church wanted. It didn't go with what the church's narrative was. So because of that, we have basically a narrative that particular church at that time wanted to tell about Christianity and religion. And so because of that, it's like, well, if what we have now isn't accurate, if it's not complete, if it's not what was truly said, how can I listen to any of it? So I still believe in God. I still believe in a creator, but I don't believe in the scripture of the Bible itself. I find it if it's not the whole truth, then I can't believe. I don't know what's real and what's not. So how can I accept it?
Because a lot of people added and a lot of people deleted.
Right. Yeah. And I have
I don't have the original copy.
Right. And a big thing too is it's been translated and mistranslated so long that, like you said, the King James Bible says one thing and they've changed it to like, the NIV version. And so that's modern English. Well, the modern English doesn't necessarily read the same as the King James version. So which one's real? Like which one's right? So
and translating from the Aramaic to the Aramaic language, which is dead language, to the Latino language, which is dead language, to the Old English language, which is a dead language, to the New English. The translation from 5 to 6 languages changes the ideas, changes the meanings a lot.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I have a friend. He lives in Israel, and he was raised Jewish, but now he's an atheist. But he still lives in Israel. But he was telling me that we got into the subject of mistranslations. He was saying how in the Christian Bible it talks about the Red Sea, Moses and the Red Sea, and then he says in the Torah it says the Reed Sea. It's a totally different place, So it's like, what? All right, fine. I believe in God, and hopefully, he can shine his light on me. But I'm not going to read the book anymore.
Yeah. By the way, they hide the old scriptures. Like that there's a big library under the Vatican and under the Vatican cathedrals.
Yeah.
And this is top secret. No one will be allowed to go down and to read the old scripts. It's not available for public. If it's the word of God, why are you hiding it? Let people read it.
Right, because it doesn't go with their narrative. There's a scripture out there. Like they have some of them that are available, but they didn't make it in the original Bible. One is the Lost Gospel of Thomas, right? And Thomas, according to the Lost Gospel of Thomas, he said, and these were all just quotes from Jesus. He just wrote down quotes. And one of the things that Jesus allegedly said in that was that basically you don't need to go to a church because God is everywhere. Like if you look under a rock, God's there. If you look on, in a tree, God's there. Like God's everywhere. So you don't necessarily need a church. Well, a church doesn't want you to know that. They want you to come to church. They want you to come and donate money and, so we can build these big cathedrals and all this stuff. And how are we supposed to
our golden crosses?
Right. And they run governments, like the church ran the English kingdom for like centuries, So they needed power. So of course they don't want that in the Bible, because if people knew that God was everywhere and they don't need a guy telling them about it and they could read it themselves, well, that takes away all their power, doesn't it?
Doesn't benefit them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. The next topic is the female promiscuity. And I will cite here a study that I mentioned before from the professor Nicholas Wolfinger. He's a psychology professor in Utah University and in the Family Institute, which is Rollo cited in his book, and he talked about it also, which is the correlation between previous sexual partners and the predictability of the long-term happiness in marriage.
Right.
And by that, he collected the data during among 30 years of the marriage data in the United States. In the beginning, as I remember in the 70s, the percentage of virgins when they got married, virgin girls when they got married, used to be 35%.
Mm-hmm.
In the year 2011, when he finished the study, it is lower than 5%,
Mm-hmm.
and that was 11 years ago, by the way.
Yeah.
So
I'm sure
now,
it's 0% now.
now I suspect it is 3%, 2%, maybe the minority of Mormons, Amish, Muslims, like
Mm-hmm.
these very conservative people. Yeah, you might find among them virgin girls,
Yeah.
especially like the Mormons and the Muslims, the restricted Muslims,
Sh-
conservative type. Yeah,
Sure.
but the rest of 95 or 97% of the females in the United States will never be virgin. And around third of men between 18 to 30 are virgin or sexless in the last year. So what is your prediction on the direction of this trend?
I think it's probably just going to get worse. Um,
Hmm.
Women, they like, I mean, they have their party years. They're encouraged to do it, you know, and
The whole
the
phase.
yeah, I mean, well, just they're between 18 and like 28. They go off to college. They party every weekend. A girl might hook up with a new guy every weekend. That's 52 guys a year potentially.
Hmm.
That's huge. That's way more than most guys are getting.
Yeah.
And yeah, and by the time that they hit their epiphany phase and they're ready to settle down, they are so broken emotionally that they'll never have that good pair bond with a
Hmm.
guy to be able to have that strong long-term commitment,
Hmm.
unless that the guy that she meets is just so damn alpha that he imprints that on her that she just can't ever go with any other guy. And
It's
that's
alpha widowed forever.
right. Right. And usually a lot of the guys that are strong alpha types like that don't want to settle down.
Of
And why
course.
and why should they in the modern
They don't,
environment?
they don't like monogamy, at least.
Yeah. No, a lot of them don't. Yeah. So yeah, I think it's just going to get worse. There is this is more of a hope, right? And hope isn't a strategy, but
Hmm.
I talked with Elliot Hulse. Do you know who Elliot Hulse is?
Hmm. No.
Elliot Hulse, he's a big YouTuber. He sort of talks in the men's space, but he's more of a tradcon type. So he's
Hmm.
really big in trying to convince men to get married and get married young and stuff like
Matt
that.
Walsh type.
Kind of. Yeah, I would
Yeah.
say so. So I had a conversation with him, and he tends to think that we talked earlier about the weak men create bad times and bad times create strong men type dichotomy. And he's thinking that we're in the period where weak men are creating bad times and we're about ready to swing. The pendulum is about to swing back. Rollo disagrees with that. But I am starting to see sort of these women, and I think a lot of it is because they're hitting their epiphany phase, but they're realizing that being promiscuous and hoeing around really isn't benefiting them. And I think some women are realizing it a little bit younger than others. That's where you get people like Pearl from Just Pearly Things. So like they're
Yeah.
realizing what this hoeing around thing's not
But
helping.
these girls are unique.
They are
Who
unique. Yeah,
understand intersexual dynamic below 25 years old.
yeah.
These are unique as like pink diamonds.
Yeah. They're unicorns.
Yeah.
but yeah, I think the more that they get bigger platforms, like I think Pearl has 700,000 followers on YouTube. The more that these women start getting that type of message out, and the more that the girls that have been raised a little more traditionally, which there's a lot of traditional type women out in the flyover states, out in the middle United States. On the coast, you still have like the raging liberals, the
Yeah.
rainbow flag type stuff, but there's still traditional women out here in the middle. Those types of girls are going to get
I
that
guess in the
message.
Midwest, especially.
Yeah, Midwest.
Yeah.
That's where Allie is. I think Allie's in
Yeah.
Kansas. So girls like that they're going to start picking up that message. I'm hoping that more women start picking up this message that hoeing around's not benefiting them, that like chemical birth control is messing with their minds,
Yeah.
that it's better to go back to more traditional values. But yeah, like I said, Rolo doesn't think it's going to happen. So we'll see.
Uh,
We'll see.
to be realistic, from my understanding in sociology with the historical aspect, you need a collapse. You need a collapse to fix this.
Mhm.
This is not gonna fix, because like when you reach as a replication rate in the society, 2.1 is the minimum to survive, not to grow, to survive. 2.1 birth per woman.
Mhm.
When you reach below 1.8, it is irreversible.
Okay.
The sociologists say it's irreversible. You can't reverse it out. You can't.
Yeah.
Whatever the fuck you did. In the Norway, they are begging people, like there's advertisement, please have sex for the future of Norway.
Mm.
Please. We will give them free health insurance. You will let them study for free to PhD. You will not pay single euro on any of their expenses. We will give you money to take care of them. Just please have sex, have kids. No, people not
People in
like that.
Norway, they're just not having kids.
They're not having kids. They're not getting married. They're not having kids, and
Mm.
the society have demographical collapse. Like the replication ratio, which is the fertility ratio, the birth per woman, is dropping below 1.5, 1.3, 1.21. In North Korea, in South Korea, it reached 0.9, which is less than one kid per woman.
Mm.
That's why the over of 50% of the Korean society is over 65. Like past half of the whole country is old, and
Mm.
these old people need a lot of money, and they produce no shit. So you need young generation for the economy.
Yeah.
So that will happen in the next 10 to 20 year, and like at least 30 year, at
So
least 30 year.
so you think so you sort of agree with Rolo then that it's
Yeah, you need
irreversible.
a collapse. You need collapse.
And by collapse, you mean like the whole. I mean, because it's not just the United States. I mean, we're talking like England. We're talking.
No, I'm not talking about existentially collapse, but I talk about like a big collapse in the demographical collapse will be followed by economical collapse,
Okay.
and if no man will with big balls dictatorship type
Hmm.
come out and fuck this shit up from the roots, and help the whole society to get back on track, that will never change. That
Mm.
does not change by democracy. That does not change by what do you think about that, Nancy Pelosi? We will take vote for that.
Yeah.
Let the mummy and the radical feminist and Mr. Alzheimer to talk about that for the next 10 years. No, that will not fix shit. You
Mm.
need to fix it. You know how China dealt with this? They noticed the decline of the masculinity, and they noticed the effect of on the marriage and the replication ratio. They have the one child policy, they get rid of it, and two child policy, they get rid of it. Now they have three child policy, and they cut this shit off. Like they get rid of all feminist organizations and feminist accounts on the social media, all of it, all the social media in China, they cut it off and they
Mhm.
put them in jail. Like you need this type of actions to save your society. And
Mm.
they cut the Chinese young generation used to be fascinated with the Korean like soft guys with the BTS bullshit.
Uh huh.
Guys with the lipstick, no hair, no mustache, no, nothing. They
Yeah.
look softer than females. They used to be fascinated with them. They blocked them. They
Mm.
stopped them from coming to China. Stop streaming their music and this shit. So they are trying to do major shift in the society. Let's say as a whole.
Hmm.
But in democracy, and nobody will, we don't need anybody to feel sad. You can't take such decisions. Under Putin regime, he put them in jail.
Hmm.
He put feminists in jail in Alaska, which is there's no walls. You can run out. It
Hmm.
is minus 50 degree. You can run out if you want. So they cut them off, and they criminalize the let's say rainbow marriage, and this is will never ever be in Russia while I exist, and the
Hmm.
people support him. So you need a strong one to come and wake the fuck out of the society. You
Yeah.
can't do this by democracy.
Yeah. Yeah. It's going to be, yeah. I definitely don't see it happening in the United States. Not anytime soon. It's got to get so bad in the economy.
It is 1.6 by the way now in the United States.
one
1.6
1.6.
per woman. Yeah.
Oh, got it.
If you take the immigrants out of it, it would be less than 1.5, because the immigrants have more kids than the original American. Like you will find the Muslim community have 4, 5, 6 kids, but you will not find like the American white people have 5 kids or 6 kids.
Mm. You might find it in Utah with the Mormons.
Yeah, the Mormons is the exception of the rule. Yeah, they have like 5 wives with 11 kids, and
Yeah.
everybody's happy playing around. Yeah.
There's a lot of Mormons in my area, and that there's as
They're
far as
good
I know,
people.
they're not there's not a lot of polygamous Mormons, because not every Mormon's polygamous, but they
They have
all have
option.
huge families, because they're
Ah,
very very much encouraged to go forth and multiply and stuff
yeah.
like that, which is a great business model for the Mormon church, because they get they get more followers that way.
They are growing like they are growing exponentially in the last 50 years, by the way, in the United States.
Oh yeah.
The percentage of the Mormons, because they have a lot of kids.
Hmm.
They have a lot of kids.
Oh yeah.
By,
What
by the way, if you look at countries like Nigeria will, in the end of this century, will pass China by population.
really?
Yeah, China is declining. China
Mm.
have demographic catastrophe also.
Wow.
China, yeah, which is like they adapted one child policy for 30 years,
Hmm.
and now the replication ratio is 1.3 and is declining. So the 1.5 billion will start to shrink. In Nigeria, they have 6 or 7 per woman, 7 birth per woman, 7 childs per woman.
Mm.
So, and they are 200 something million already. So
Oh wow.
imagine 6 childs per woman, 200 million. The next 10 year, the next 10 year, the next 10 year, they will pass 1 billion in the 2100.
Man, is that even sustainable in a place like Nigeria?
Yeah, they have the resources.
Do they? Okay.
Yeah.
I've never been there. I don't know.
That's like the limitation of resources. That's Klaus Schwab, Thomas Malthus, Bill Gates bullshit. Eat
Mm.
bugs. We don't have meat. No, blah blah. This is also all bullshit. We have
Yeah.
enough resources for 100 times amount of the people that live in here, because the resources and the people will grow with each other. Like 5,000 years ago, we have less than 1 billion, less than half billion people,
Hmm.
and less than half billion, let's say, animal for us to eat. But they grow with each other.
Mm. Got it.
And when we need more energy resources, oh, the oil is not enough. It is enough. And then we have green energy. We have a lot of green energy. We have nuclear energy. We have hydrogen energy. We have wind energy. We have the sun energy. It is full, like they are full of shit. No,
Hmm.
we are overpopulating the planet. No, this is bullshit.
Yeah. Yeah. I have heard that we could take basically all. I think there's we just hit 8 billion people in the world.
Yeah, yeah. A few
That
weeks ago.
yeah, we could probably. I've heard that we could take all 8 billion people and squish them together and fit them all in the state of Texas. Like we,
Yeah, yes,
it's
that's
not
right.
it's not as bad as everyone says.
We are not occupying 1% of the planet, by the way.
Yeah,
We are not occupying 1% of the planet. Look at Russia. It's 19 million square kilometer. What the fuck is that? I can put 2 Earths of human population inside Russia alone,
hmm
and the rest of the planet will be empty.
yeah,
So no, we're not overpopulating the society. That's bullshit.
yeah. There's lots of. Oh man, I lived in California for a long time. California is a huge state, absolutely huge,
Yeah,
and it's the population centers are Los Angeles, San Francisco, sort of Bay Area, and like San Diego, like those three areas. The rest of the state is not that populated. There's a lot of
yeah,
like farmland and country out there. There's where there's hardly any people. That's all conservative out in those areas. But the
yeah,
people that vote are all in the cities, and that's where the major population is. That's why the state always goes blue when it comes to elections.
yeah. That's almost in all countries, even in Jordan. Like the cities is populated. Yes, you can find 3 million in this city, 2 million in this city, 1 million in this city. But if you pass the city to the desert, you can drive for 300 kilometers without seeing a single human being.
Yeah.
Yeah, look at Australia.
hmm
Like look at the populated area in Australia. You will find small dots around Sydney, the Gold Coast, the Queensland, the blah here, there. And the rest of Australia is a desert for camels and kangaroos jumping, and
Yeah.
there's no people. Do not tell me like we're overpopulating.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
the earth is empty.
When I first went to the Middle East, I flew into Bahrain. I was in Bahrain for a couple of days, and then they flew me to this small little airport in a place called Fujairah. And Fujairah was literally in the middle of nowhere. And then we drove for like 2 hours to Dubai. I think it was two or
Yeah,
3 hours to Dubai in a truck, and it was like through the
Fujairah is
desert.
small, Emira. Yeah,
Yeah, and it was like through the desert. There was nothing for miles.
yeah,
And then I actually saw people with camels, and I was like,
yeah,
"This is a real thing! Wow!" Like,
yeah,
it's amazing. Yeah,
yeah. Mari is saying, wouldn't that make it difficult living situation like it is India due to high population? No, no, it is not, because as I said, people are concentrating in small pieces of lands. If you would take the people and spread it around, build more new cities, there will never be traffic. So it is the pattern of distribution of the population who make the traffic. It is not the numbers of people. Do you agree with that?
I would agree with that. But is she asking if we took all 8 billion people and stuck them in Texas, wouldn't that make living situation? That's what I'm getting from that.
Yeah, yeah.
But I mean, that would make traffic horrendous in that area. But then
If
you have all this.
if you distribute the services,
Yeah,
it will never be like that crush traffic.
yeah, it would never be that. It would never get to that point. Not in
Yeah,
our lifetimes, anyway.
yeah, of course. It is just a metric of understanding the whole situation. It will never be. We will never all live in Texas. They don't have enough oil for us.
Thank God.
The marriage expectation, man. What do you think about the marriage expectation? Is it astronomic, like delusion, for the females in the West? I need a 6 foot 5 with
Oh,
$250,000, below 30,
yeah.
and in shape, and not married, and straight, and attractive, with charisma, and famous, and 0.0000001% of the society, and he have to be monogamous to me.
Well, what I say about women that make those lists is that women don't really know what they want. They like women don't even know what they want to eat for dinner half the time.
Yeah.
So a lot of these women put that out there that you got to be 6 foot tall, make six figures, you got to have a six-pack abs or whatever. But it's like, no, you don't. I don't. I think as long as you show up and you have confidence, like we talk about strong masculine frame and stuff like that. Women they sort of don't realize what they actually want until it's right in front of them. So I sort of look at that sort of thing and just kind of laugh. There are going to be some women that, and you see them on places like Fresh and Fit, that make those lists up, and they will stick to those lists until they are old spinsters, But I think that's a minority of women. I think a majority of women will eventually come to their senses when the right guy is in front of them. And we talked about Ryan Stone. You don't like Ryan Stone, but one of the things that he says is women are not a very good judge of measurement, right? He's like, if they were a good judge of measurement, they wouldn't be, parking so close to the curb that they're scratching up the fenders. So he's like, they don't know what 6 feet tall looks like. They don't know what a 6-inch dick looks like, so you can tell them whatever. And as long as you have that strong presence or whatever, they'll think that you're 6 feet tall. They'll think that you're,
that's why in Islam, you have to take the male guardian permission to marry a woman. It's not enough for the woman to accept you. Her father or big brother have to accept you either.
That used to be a sort of a tradition here too. Yeah,
because we know women will follow their emotion. They are not a good judge.
Mm-hmm.
But a man, like, you can't fool me. Like, I can recognize a good man, and I recognize a serious, like a sequence fucker when I see it, a playboy.
Yeah.
Like, you can't fool me. Like your charm bullshit do not affect me. It does affect her. So you need both consent from the girl and her father to get married. I agree with Ryan Stone. Yeah. I agree that they are not good judge. That's why they get fucked over and over and over between like 14 to 30 until they realize, whoa, I have to settle down.
Right.
Yeah.
And then they go looking for a more traditional conservative guy, and all of a sudden they've already slept with 50 dudes, but for this guy, she's gonna make that guy wait.
Yeah, that's right. And they justify it in their mind. Like, I have 75 one night stand, but this guy is really a good guy, so I'll make him wait for 3 months.
Yeah, I when I was out on the dating circuit before I met my current girlfriend, I went on a date with this gal, and she was married, and she got divorced, and she had, I think, 3 kids, and somehow we got in the conversation about sex, and she was like, "Oh yeah, I'm very religious. I won't have sex unless I'm married," and I'm just like, "Who are you kidding? You have 3 kids. You're not a virgin. Like, come on." And so I did that one. I think I went on like one date with her, and I was like, yeah, I'm not even going to bother with this. I'm going to find someone that doesn't make stupid rules.
Yeah. Like, I believe the right for you to make rules when you're not virgin, when you have promiscuous past, like, you have no right to make rules. Like, you're ran through. And these delusional females in the West, if they come into the Middle East, they will find out what is their real value is. Like, this girls who says, I want a 6-figure, 6-pack, 6 foot, she will never find a taxi driver who's 5'4", overweight, will accept her. Can you imagine? She will never find a garbage keeper to marry her. And he will refuse, not her. He will refuse to marry her. Why? Because we have, like, let's say, minimum requirement of virtue and modesty.
Right.
Like you have no say to say conditions. Like
Right.
you're a hoe, you have to shut the fuck up. You don't say conditions or rules or requirement. You're not allowed to have requirement. You're a hoe. Like, modest girl can say what she want. You can't. You are
Hmm.
ran through by football team and maybe football team audience. So you don't have the right, this right to mention what you want and what is your conditions, and no, no.
Hmm.
So we have big discrepancy between the expectation for female, and we still have this public shaming in the Middle East
Hmm.
for girls who wear let's say hose customs. They are rejected in the society. They are rejected by people. If any like young man says I want to get married to someone who wear very tight clothes and like reveal her breast and skin, show a lot of skin, his father, his mother, his brothers, his uncles, his everyone, his friends will say, "Are you a fucking idiot? You want to marry this hoe?"
Hmm.
And she might not be hoe, but they will consider her hoe because she's wearing hoe's custom.
Mm.
Like David Chappelle says, you're wearing the hoe's custom. It's confusing.
Yeah.
Like you might not be a hoe, but you're wearing a hoe custom. So we still have this public shame, and that's this socially structured pressure. I find it very healthy to maintain some boundaries for the females' behavior in the society. I believe this is good,
Oh
but
yeah. I
in the United States, I feel that this is disappearing or disappeared.
Yeah, I will say that in the United States, we still have there is still a stigma for women that are promiscuous that hoe around, and because of that stigma, we get what a lot of or what I just read a book by Alan Roger Curry, Mode One, and I just had him on the podcast. Just recorded a podcast with him, but he calls we have this phenomena called wholesome pretenders in the United
Mm,
States, where these women act virtuous and they act like they haven't slept with a whole bunch of dudes because they know that their value is lessened when they are promiscuous. So they'll try to pretend like, oh, I don't sleep on the first date. I don't, whatever. But the right guy could easily get these gals to do it, just
mm,
with like the right sweet talking and stuff like that. So there is still a stigma with it. It's just there a lot of the feminist movement is really trying to push for it being okay. It's still
mm.
not 100% there yet, but it's definitely getting there. I think a lot more women are being more open with their promiscuity.
Yeah, I guess you have the wave of only God judge me, right?
Hmm. Yeah. Or why is it okay for guys to sleep around, but it's not okay for us? It's like
Mm. Equality bullshit. It
right.
is like the ratchet hose on Myron platform, fresh and fit.
Yeah.
Well, so is that the man sleep with other women is okay, but I'm not. Of course, you fucking idiot. You're a shitty lock.
Right. That's right.
Yeah. And the last subject is okay, the Islamic value. The Islamic values in the West. If you have anything like you feel curious about the intersexual dynamic in the Middle East, I passed a lot of countries in the Middle East. I lived in more than one country, and I'm well known of the laws and a lot of things. I have a lot of clients around the Middle East for the coaching and counseling sessions. So if you have anything you want to know a little bit more about the Middle East, go ahead.
Yeah, I am actually curious about that. I'm under and this just might be my ignorance. I was always sort of under the impression that in the Middle East, that there's a lot of like arranged marriages. Is that still pretty common? Do you guys date? Do you guys date for love there, or is it pretty much arranged?
Well, you have to understand that there is 5 to 10% of the society which is have liberal tendencies. things in this like tiny layer of the society happened a little bit different about the rest of the society.
Mm-hmm.
The rest of the society will have arranged marriage, but I have to clarify what is arranged marriage.
Okay.
Arranged marriage is not you have to marry this girl. It
Mm-hmm.
is not like that. Or you have to marry this guy. Arranged marriage in the Middle East, more like recommendation.
Mm.
More like recommendation. Like I reached, for example, 30 year. And my father, my mother know that I take the decision that I want to get married. So she will start to give me a recommendation because the social connection for female, they are like social creatures, and the moms are the best in the Middle East with this. She knows a lot of women and a lot of girls of women, and like from her, let's say, the family connection and the friends connection and the friends of friends connection. So she know you as her son. What do you like? You like tall? You like short? You like white? You like dark? You like. So she will start to filter them by her mind,
Mm.
and she will recommend you like this a girl you might like her. Like why don't you see her?
Mm-hmm.
Like just meet her and like take your decision. Nobody's forcing you, but she's good. Like she's from a good family. She's a modest girl. Like she recommend her for you, and you will have your chance to meet her, to talk to her. Of course, like under the supervision of her family. It's not like you take her on a trip and somewhere else. No, you can meet her in public and talk to her. Like look at her, figure out that she might be a good potential partner or not. And you can say, yes, mom, like she's good, or no, I don't like her.
Okay.
She might recommend you someone else, or you can recommend, like you can get your, especially guys who's working in with a lot of female field. So like you may meet a girl in your work. She's good, she's attractive, she's modest, so you will talk to her a little bit, and then you will take the contact of her family
Mm.
and tell, for example, your father, your mother, like, there's this girl, I want to marry her. The two family have to be connected. You know me. It is
Mm-hmm.
not. It's not just individual relationship. It is two family coming together.
Mm.
So the two family will start will visit each other and talk about the thing. You will get an engagement, and then you will start, let's say, hanging out with her for a month, 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, and then you will schedule for the marriage, the big days, and like that's how is it going on.
How long does that process usually take?
It depends from country to country. Usually, the engagement is few months. It might be
Wow.
one year,
Mm.
but it is a good period to know each other more.
Yeah. Yeah. See, I wouldn't recommend especially in the United States, I wouldn't recommend guys to even consider marrying a girl unless he dated her for at least 2 years.
Hmm.
So, but in the Middle East is a little bit faster. But
We're talking about majority of virgins in the society.
right. So they're it's almost a guarantee she's going to be a virgin, and
It's mentioned in the Islamic contract.
yeah,
It is mentioned. It have to be mentioned.
she has to be a virgin.
It has to be mentioned in the, we call it nikah contract, which is
Oh,
the
okay.
Arabic word for marriage.
Mm.
Nikah contract. زوجتك ابنة البكر الرشيد. Like I'm giving you my daughter, which is a virgin. It have to be mentioned. If she's married before, it have to be mentioned a thayyib, which is she's been married before, like she's not a virgin. This
Mm.
is have to be mentioned in the contract. And if he find out that there is a deception, he can break the contract and get everything that he paid back,
Mm.
because there is a deception. Like it's mentioned, she's bikr, she's virgin, and they found out she's not, and that will be a big shame for her family and for the girl. She might get headed.
Mm.
This is a big stigma. Like there's no tolerance for that.
Wow.
There's
Okay.
no tolerance for that. So girls know this is like a real boundary. I might lose my head. So
Yeah.
that's why you'll find vast majority of girls are non-married women are
Our
virgins.
virgins. Yeah.
Past 90%, let's say.
Got it. And how would you say that people are happily married after, like, let's say 30 years? Would you say people are happily married?
Well, to be honest, marriage in the last 10 years start to have a higher divorce rate
Mm,
in the last 10 years. But people who's married since long time, if I look around me, the vast majority of people who's married since long time are in long term stable relationship, are happy relatively.
relatively. Yeah.
Happy
Okay.
relatively. Like in my whole family, I know more than 100 men who's married since long time. One of them is divorced. One or two cases in the whole people that I know. One or two cases. That's
Mhm.
very low percentage. That's very low percentage. Like usually, because the gender roles is clear in Islam and in Arabic tradition. The gender roles is clear.
Very clear.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah, you have to obey your husband. You can't play around it. You have to be modest. You can't play around it. You
Hmm.
have to do your work in home. You can't play around it. You have to take care of your kids. You can't play around it. For you as a man, you have to provide for your family. You can't play around it. Like we have clear rules for men also, and it's not tolerated at all. Like if you're a bum sitting around, like everybody will fuck you up, from
Hmm.
man and woman, family, society, the police, the court. Everyone will fuck you up. So it is little bit clear, and when it's clear, like there's gender discrimination, like fine lines between the gender rules. It does predict more stability in marriage.
Mm, okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah. Because I would venture to say that most people, I get people in the comments that are like, oh, I've been married 30 years. And I always ask them, how's the sex? Because, because I guarantee these
A
guys,
third of marriage is sexless.
yeah, a lot of these guys,
One third of marriage.
a lot of these guys they've been married that long, but they're not happy,
Hmm.
and I guarantee their wives probably aren't happy, especially if their wives aren't still having sex.
And we have the multi wives, and is legal in the law. Like
Hmm.
around 5 to 7% of the population in my country have more than one woman.
Hmm.
So that's acceptable. A lot of people work against that in the media, but we don't give a fuck. It's permitted by God.
Yeah.
If God says it is okay, you can shout for the next 100 years. I
Hmm.
don't give a fuck. I'm not working to satisfy you. I'm
Right.
working to satisfy God. God says this is permitted, I'll do it. He said this is prohibited, I will not do it. So what Hillary Clinton think, nobody gives a fuck.
Yeah. Well, no one cares what she thinks here either.
Yeah. Uh, we have some problems in two countries, which is Egypt and Tunisia.
Hmm.
Tunisia is a secular country. They have no Islamic rules. It is secular, like France.
Hmm.
Like they are copying the French laws, and in French laws there is it's not it's prohibited to have multi wives, for example.
Mm.
They are not allowed to have headscarf, hijab in public places. It is like France. So in Tunisia, the marriage institution is falling. The marriage institution is falling. So
Interesting.
yeah, and in Egypt they have high divorce rate, but the replication ratio is very high.
Mm.
We got 2 hours and 9 minutes. That's a long podcast. Like
That's
I,
a
I
long
lost
time.
counting.
I
I,
usually
lo- I
I
lost
I
counting.
I usually only go about an hour, so yeah, this is a long one.
Yeah, I enjoyed it very much. I will thank you again, Paul. By the way, guys, you can find all of his links. He's on Google Podcast and Apple Podcast. You can find him in Spotify. You will find all the links in the description, guys. Go and subscribe to his channel, support him. Do you have any final thoughts, final things to say?
I just want to say, in about 15 minutes, I'm going live on my channel.
Hmm.
I don't know if people know this, but there was a TV show when I was a kid growing up called the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, and the original Green Power Ranger is died like today or yesterday.
Hmm.
And the thing is, he just announced that he was getting divorced like a month or two ago, and
Oh.
so it's like very questionable like how he died. There's not a lot of information, and one of the guys that I'm friends with on Twitter said, "Hey, I wonder if this guy took his own life because of the divorce." And that happens a lot in the United States. Guys get zeroed out and they self delete because
Hmm.
they get so invested in their marriage. And so we're going to be talking about that here in about 15-20 minutes. So
Hmm.
hop on over to my channel and we'll
Yeah,
talk about it.
sure, sure. Thank you very much, Paul, again, and I hope we will collaborate again with another several subjects. That was very interesting collaboration. Thank you again, bro,
Yeah, thanks for
and
having me.
for you guys, have a great night. Don't forget to follow Paul and Come On podcast, Come On Man podcast. Thank you, guys. See you.